To this video. Now in this video we're going to be talking about the world of business and startup. So if you're going through a bit of a lull or if you're never taken that plunge, then this is a video for you. We brought a leading expert in to talk everything about startup, give you those tips and tricks to make sure that you make the right call. Join us in this video. Okay, Sabrina, in this one, we want to talk about what I know one of your favorite topics. So if you think back to the first time we ever met, it was all to do with your whole idea of you were trying to sell the opportunity for you to help small businesses. You know, you were giving your time, you were giving your expertise, and it was coming from a place where instead of those kind of, let's say, questionable consultancy opportunities that are out there, you were actually doing it from a place of you've been there, done that, and you've got an opportunity to be able to actually put some real value into small businesses. So I know it's a topic you love the absolute most, the startups and everything else. Now that you've kind of had an opportunity to reflect on that, now that your businesses have evolved even further than they were before, from your point of view, what if you could take a step back and start again, how would you start business now? What is your top tips for anyone who's looking to go from solopreneur to entrepreneur?
I think the term entrepreneur is a sexy term that we need to unsexify a bit. The reason I say that is because being a solopreneur, meaning you are a one-man band running your own business, there is nothing wrong with that. So firstly, deciding if you want to have the commitment of being able to build a business, having staff, having overheads, having additional stresses and pressure, which I personally love, but might not be for everyone. So thinking about, okay, am I happy being a solopreneur? And if I doubled what I was making right now, you could probably still do it on your own, or are you looking to start building up a small business? That was the first decision I would make. If I was going to go back, I would actually go into creating an irresistible offer. Now, it was when we created an irresistible offer that, we hit record high months. And the income that we were generating from this is something that I wouldn't have thought possible in a month, maybe 2 years ago when I first started the business. And the reason for that is when you create an offer that if somebody said no to, they'd be a lunatic to say no to that offer because it is so good and you are providing so much value. And as a business owner, you're slightly scared to give this offer because it is such an impactful offer, both from what the client will receive and from what you're giving, that it makes so much sense. That's when you'll start to attract clients who will say yes. And when they start saying yes, because it's impossible to say no, that's when your business will start to flourish. So a lot of the time I would say, forgetting about everything else, it's about focusing on finding that irresistible offer that you can deliver that makes you slightly scared because it's very ambitious for what you're doing and for what you're charging and for what the terms are, but for something that the client will find incredibly valuable.
I love that idea, yeah. And I think the problem isn't it, is there's a lot of pressure being put on you at the beginning to kind of work that idea out and work that irresistible offer out. So what would you say is a kind of safe space to start with? If you were going to, again, try and find these kind of irresistible offers and you were trying to build them up from scratch, how would you, or how have you in the past been able to get to that end result? Because it does sound daunting, doesn't it? That idea that, it's almost make or break for you, but it doesn't have to be that way, does it?
I think it's all about getting clients' results. So I'm going to assume that this is a B2B company. I'll take our offer. Be on TV in 90 days. It sounds like quite an exciting offer.
Yeah. It's
scary to me because it's a big, big commitment from a PR side, but that means I've done something right. So what you want to try and do, and if you haven't watched Alex Hormozzi's video about how to create an irresistible offer, you can check it out on his website. He does a really, really good walkthrough. What I would say to summarize a lot of that learning is clients buy outcomes. So let's say that you're a relationship coach. Your outcome is to go on your first date within 30 days. Your outcome is to find a girlfriend, to find love. If you are a fitness coach, your outcome is not to lose weight, but it's to feel confident again, to feel happy with how you look like, to have that energy back. That's the outcome. It's all results driven. In PR, you don't just want to get into the press. The outcome is to build your authority, to get more social proof in order to make more money in your business. So thinking about it from an outcome perspective. Now let's say TV, for example. How the outcome is TV, which creates all these incredible results off the back of it. What is every single thing I have to do in order to get there? And when you think of it like this, and I'm going to say dating because it's a really fun one. How do you get a date in 30 days? Okay, well, I'm going to be imagining that my client avatar is a lawyer. He's 30 years old. He's starting to get into his career and now he wants to elevate that section of his love life. What's everything he needs to do? He needs to create the time so that he can actually go on dates. He needs to learn how to present himself. He needs to learn how to wear. He needs to understand what kind of woman he wants to go for. There's so many objectives that's going to stop him thinking that he can get to that end result. Your offer needs to solve every single one. And when you start solving every single objective that's going to stop him getting to that end result, then you've got a beautiful offer because everything they go, oh, how about this? How about that? There's a solution for it.
That's interesting. And so what I'm getting from that is it's very much going to be driven by when you made that first sale or you've made a couple of sales, you need to start getting that feedback, don't you? Because that's how you're going to know what part of your offer that you've already did attracted them and which part didn't, or whatever it's going to be. And I suppose then, would you just elaborate on that? Is that how you've kind of created your ones? Was it feedback related or was there anything more?
Well, in the position when I started doing this, you know, being a value of one Alex Hormozy offer, and I really like his content, which is why I give him a shout out. I've had a 100% close rate.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
So our numbers are incredible right now compared to what they were before this. And the reason I did this was because I did have all the feedback. The feedback was not after I closed the client. The feedback was the objection for them not closing in the first place.
Makes sense.
So I found all the objections from why somebody wouldn't work with me. And that was built into my offer. And when you do it that way round, when they say, oh, how about this? Or I'm not sure if this is for me, there is a solution for that particular one.
Yeah, and let's be honest, when you first start out, you're going to get those rejections, aren't you? You're going to get those people who aren't going to buy from you. I love that way. And it's a different way of looking at it as well. So give us a peek behind the curtain. How did you capture that data? What were you doing? Was it surveys or was it just on the phone or was it communication? How were you actually getting to a point where someone was honest enough and brutal enough to tell you why you weren't right for them?
I guess there's a few different techniques you could do here. Firstly, if you're starting out in business, you have not got a new idea, and it's extremely rare that you have a new idea. Maybe you're going to do it differently, maybe you're going to do it more incredible than the next person, but that idea is somewhat done. So actually, going and doing research on your competitors and thinking, if I was going to work with them, what do I not like about what they're offering? So actually thinking of who is potentially already in the marketplace, go into their reviews, go into their comments, what are people asking them, what do you feel like they're missing and they're lacking? That's going to give you a ton of information. The second, of course, is really understanding your industry. I personally was able to do this because I really understand PR and I really understand, and I've done my research and I've done it hundreds and hundreds of times of getting that result that I just knew. So I knew it because I was genuinely an expert in what I do. The third is sales calls. Don't be afraid to get on the phone, jump on the calls, write down every single objection and figure out, okay, if I can solve this problem that this person has, listen to the problems that they have, can you solve them? And can you then incorporate that into your offer?
I love that, yeah. And I think that's the nicest thing about that is we're not completely reinventing the wheel here, are we? We're not having to, you know, invest in this fancy solution that's going to scrape the internet for your answers, or you're having to do it. You're literally just going back to business 101, aren't you, in those circumstances? I think that's really important. Okay, so we've kind of got the idea of how to first kind of set up and how to do, but how have you been able to then build on that? So you've got that first irresistible idea or that first irresistible product. What's next step for you? What have you been doing then? Is it double down on that one, or have you been looking to diversify? What would you do at that point?
So first you have your clear offer. Next step is you need leads. There are so many different lead generation techniques. You could do organic social media. You can do outbound DMs. You can do ads. You could do collaborations, you can do joint ventures, you can do partnerships. Find one lead generation idea. And if you're a startup business, I'd probably suggest cold email, because there's a lot of information on what to do online. You can understand and you can test different copies. And you also have, in a sense, you have a lot of leads when you're doing cold email. It's a great place to start, especially if you're starting at near nothing. You can then test your offer in that cold email. Now, in that cold email, for example, you're not going to sell them straight away. You're just going to start building a relationship. And, there's a whole process to that. Offer, you find one lead generation way and you become really, really, really good at it. Then once you're good at it and it's converting, you can start a new method up. But I would really focus on one.
I love that idea. Okay, so let's wrap this up, or start to wrap this up. So what is your big tip then? If you could go back, I know you've mentioned about the idea of having that irresistible offer, but what is your big tip for just taking the plunge in the first place? Because that is a lot of people at the moment, aren't they? They're maybe stuck in their 9 to 5, or they've just started out and they're not really pushing it. What made you make that first step?
I made that first step when I was 9 years old and I watched The Apprentice. And I was like, I'm going to be a businesswoman one day. And my mum, and if anyone else isn't, an Asian mum, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a business owner. So for me, there was never a first step. It was never an option to have a 9 to 5. For someone in a 9 to 5, from everyone I've spoken to, I would say it's about freedom. There's 3 kinds of freedom. There's time freedom, financial freedom, and location freedom. Does what you're doing create those 3 types of freedom? And if not, what are the consequences of something else happening? If something happened in the world, I don't know, we went into, we couldn't leave our house for 3 months. Say that happened in the world, and you couldn't do anything about it, and that created catastrophic something to your relationships, to your mental health, whatever that is, it means potentially that there is another way to create more freedom. And by having a side business, by starting something different, it will naturally give you more of one of those freedoms. And to think of it as a place to give you more choices and to give you more chances.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. As always, we've been able to come and put some bite-sized information and be able to make sure that people are able to elevate it. And it's about encouragement, isn't it? Like, they should see people like yourself, and it should be an opportunity for them to go, you know what? Just by following the steps, following the advice that they've got, there's an opportunity out there for everyone, isn't there?
Yeah, and it's exciting to change the terminology around something, to surround yourself with someone else. One of your other friends who has a really fun idea. If it doesn't go well, that's okay. You just go again. Entrepreneurs make so many mistakes. They make so many risks, and there's nothing to lose. Most businesses, you can start with £0 in your bank account. Every single business I've started with no money down. I've not taken investment. I've not taken, anything from my parents. All of it was either from what I'd worked for in my tennis role, or creating a cash lean business. So you can make money. You can't really make money, but you can transfer money and you can exchange it from one person to another through providing something, but you can do it in a lean way.
I love that. So we need your help on this one. We need more comments down below. We need questions, and we need everything else to make sure that these sort of series are going to be beneficial going forward. So if you've got any questions, if you're worried about taking startup advice, if you're in that position where you feel like you're just not getting anywhere, let us know in the comments below. That could be a great question that we pass over to Sabrina next time round. So Sabrina, right, let's kind of go through this point here, that what you could help them with if you need to, yeah? So I know full well, I've seen people do this, and they've kind of gone through there. They're at that stage where they're looking to promote their profile. They want to improve it. They've started to really engage with the clients and the community they've got, but they want to start outreaching to more people. How could you help them in that way?
If someone is really ready to take what they do to the next level, they want to be a personal brand themselves, and they want to be seen as an expert in the industry, that's going to create 3 things. They're going to get more inbound leads. They're going to have a higher and quicker conversion rate, and they're going to make more profit. So if you need those 3 things, that's when it's starting time to elevate your authority, and we can do that through a number of different ways, but they are the outcomes that we create.
I love it. And how would they get in contact with you?
So you can check out our website, 2pr.com, or you can connect with myself on Instagram or on LinkedIn.
And hopefully you can see how valuable that could be. I mean, look, the expert is in the room ready to be able to answer your questions. So personally, I think that if you're at that stage, I think that'll be a no-brainer. Sabrina, you've been amazing as always. Thank you very much for your time. Any parting pearls of wisdom you want to give to our community?
Have fun with it.
Love it, love it. Awesome. And with that then, we are going to close out on here. Remember, as always, to use that comment section down below. Let us know any questions there is. Make sure you like, subscribe, and all that stuff for the algorithm. But as always, we will see you in the next video. Bye for now.